What is JS engine? So JS engine is something which helps the compiler, which helps the system to understand whatever we have written in JS, right? JS engine, looks something like this. There is a Java file, right? There is a Java file. There is an engine, which is basically the JS engine, and the Java file goes into the JS engine, and then it goes to the system, and we get a machine readable code, right? Now let us look it in a little more depth. Right. So now that we have got an overview of how a JS engine looks like, let us understand uh, a detailed view of the architecture of a JS engine. It's important to know that each and every browser has got its own implementation of a JS engine. So a SpiderMonkey JS engine of Mozilla Firefox would be different from a V8 engine of a Chrome, right? But the baseline architecture of both the JS engine remains the same. It is as it is accepted by the ECMAScript community, right? So there has to be a JS file for a JS engine to run. So we have got a JS file here, and then we have something called a parser which reads the file line by line and then understands it, and then it converts it into a data structure. That data structure is basically called abstract syntactic tree. You can go to astexplorer.net and write a small program, and then you can check out how an abstract syntactic tree looks like. Okay, this abstract syntactic tree is basically then provided as an input to the interpreter. The interpreter then reads the whole code line by line and then provides it to the machine as bytecode. Okay. Now we have got something called a profiler, which is a new addition in the JS engine. Right? The profiler is also known as the monitor. We will get in details how the profiler works. Okay. Now we have got a compiler. Whatever unoptimized code was there, which was being read and executed by the interpreter, is sent to the compiler. The compiler optimizes it and then feeds it to the machine as optimized machine code. Okay. Now we have something called a call stack, where we have got the reference values, and also we track the function calls, and we have got a heap memory where we store the objects. Okay. Now the compiler has got two more bifurcations. First is called the baseline compiler, another is called the optimization compiler or optimizing compiler. We'll get in details of all these things. It is important to know in V8 engine in Chrome we do not have these two. These both have been clubbed into something called a turbofan. Okay, let's understand what's a JIT compiler. JIT is basically just-in-time compilation. What happens? So basically, there are huge websites in the internet, right? For example, a Facebook and Twitter, and, Quora, etc., right? So if it is interpreted, each and every code of your JavaScript is interpreted, you understand that how much time it would take for such huge websites to load on your browser, right? So there has to be some optimization. So it implements the compiler also, the JS engine, as we just saw. So the JIT compiler is basically an amalgamation of both the interpreter and the compiler. In JS engine, we have got something called a profiler, which has been added recently. Right. So this is what a JIT compiler looks like. So there is an interpreter, there is a profiler, there is a compiler, and there is a machine. Okay. Okay. So this diagram is for V8 engine. It is exclusive without the crankshaft, right? So the interpreter is the one which receives the abstract syntactic tree, as we just discussed, from the parser, and then it passes it to the machine into bytecode. Okay. The profiler job is to see which part of the code which the compiler is which the interpreter is reading is unoptimized. It keeps a track on the unoptimized code. There are two concepts: hot piece of code and warm piece of code. We'll learn about that also. So it keeps track on that. Once it encounters a particular piece of code which is redundant, right, it passes it to the compiler. So the compiler optimizes it into unoptimized machine code. It optimizes it into optimized machine code, and then it replaces the portions of the unoptimized bytecode. The bytecode was here, right? There have to be unoptimized bytecode here, correct? So the unoptimized bytecode, it places in the optimized machine code. So we get the best of both worlds, right? It is doing fast processing also, and also doing optimizations.